Hey, how's it going, everybody? Zach again. Um, I don't know why I say that. It's obviously my YouTube channel, so kind of weird. But yeah, today is the 26th. It is Sunday of April, and today I went to church. So basically, this video is just going to be going over what we talked about at church. And today was a special one. Tim Tebow was actually um, there, and he was alongside our lead pastor, Pastor Randy, and those two were, going back and forth on stage, talking about different topics. So yeah, just gonna go kind of over what they talked about. This will probably be something I do here every Sunday, just going over um, the Sunday service and what I took from it, and you know, yeah, pretty simple. So, Tim Tebow, obviously really well known. If you don't know who he is, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's won multiple national titles playing for the Florida Gators. And above all, he is a big follower of Jesus and, travels around the world, spreading the word. So um, it was awesome to get to see him. Now, like I said in previous videos, I'm a big um, advocate of sports. It's been something I've grown up with. And so, yeah, I was super excited to see him. And obviously, the devotional that we're going through right now is written by Tim Tebow. So it was like really kind of a weird timing thing for me to where I started with this devotional. And now, 3 days later, I'm going to see him in church. So, um, like I said, it was just Pastor Randy and Tim. Well, first of all, let me back up. Normally I live about 7 minutes from church, and typically takes me 7 minutes to get there and maybe 3 minutes to park. Well, today I left at 9:15. Church service was at 10, and I didn't enter the parking lot until I want to say 9:56 or so. And that's pretty specific, but I was kind of staring at the clock, making sure I was able to get in and get a seat. So, a lot of people came today. There's our church does three services. There's an 8 a.m., there's a 10 a.m., and then a 1 p.m. So I usually always go to the 10 a.m. But yeah, plenty more people there today than there were, previous Sundays. So Pastor Randy was making jokes about like, oh yeah, hey, there's no special reason why we've got a packed house today. I'm assuming everyone wants to, you know, be a part of Jesus today. And, a lot of people were there because Tim Tebow was there. But, nonetheless, it was good, to have that big of a crowd. And I'll put a few clips in here of what it looked like, how many people were there. There was like two overfill rooms as well. For people who couldn't make it in, and so yeah, there was a lot of people. And then when we left, there was people. Like the service ended like 11:30, and by the time we walked out of the auditorium, people for the 1 o'clock service were already in line, and it was already out the door. So plenty of people. But yeah, so getting into it here, they, like I said, they were, two chairs center stage, um, and just kind of chopping it up here. Now, recently, Tim Tebow lost his dad, which losing a relative is never easy. It's not something that I'm all too familiar with. There's not been too many of my relatives that have passed. My family's quite small. The relatives that I have passed, I didn't really get to know. So it's not a feeling that I know well, but I can probably guess it's not a good feeling. But, one thing that I noticed was that, man, that Tim was there. His dad passed away, 2 days ago. Um, Yet he chose to still come. And he was saying on stage, he was like, well, Pastor Randy was like, yeah, thanking him for still coming, and it, means a lot that he did still come. And Tim was like, I know if my dad was here and I told him that I had an obligation to go spread the word of Jesus Christ, and I chose not to, he'd say, Timmy, what the heck are you thinking? So it was kind of funny. He got a little laugh out of the crowd there. Um, but yeah, what was like kind of, you know, you know, really crazy to see was that he was there, and you would have never known his dad passed, and becoming closer to God and Jesus is something where you understand that dying isn't the end of the road. It's it's the next step, and when you finally get to meet Jesus. So for him, I saw on his social media that it wasn't something where his family were sad about it. Um, he said he talked to his dad before passing. He said he was excited to meet Jesus and that his wait was finally over to go and be with him. So it was pretty cool to see that point of view. A lot of people um, will break down when they lose somebody, or go into depression and lose track of things they got going on, which is understandable. I mean, not everybody's going to handle it as well as Tim, but not everybody, I would say, is in tune with their faith as Tim. He's one of the the greats in the field of Christianity. Um, he understands everything, and it's really cool to see. It inspires me for sure. Um, yeah. So going into a little bit of what he was talking about is, relating to that death of his dad. It tied into what he was talking about with, there's going to be pains, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be obstacles along the way. Um, it's not going to be, all good. You know, there's going to be times in your life where it's not going to make sense to you in the moment. Um, it's important to, understand that, God's got a plan for everybody, and it's not the same for everybody, and it may not look like it's the right thing, but like you said, that everything happens for a reason. There's a plan for why you're here. Um, he went on later to talk about like him as, and this story's been brought up before. I've heard this before in some of his talks about how he was born and his mom and stuff like that. He was born in the Philippines, and he lived there to the age of 5. Um, when he was in his mother's womb in the Philippines, the doctors were saying they didn't even recognize that it was a kid. They actually thought his mom had a tumor. So growing up, he made the funny joke that his brothers and sisters called him Tumor Timmy, or Timmy Tumor. I can't remember if it was which way it went, but it was funny. He got a little chuckle out of people there. But yeah, they thought he was a tumor, and he was saying stuff like the placenta was barely connected. The doctors were saying like very, slim to none chance Tim was going to make it. And if they didn't abort Tim, there was a good chance that his mom was going to lose her life. And what they decided was not to abort Tim. Obviously, he's here, but um, his mom chose to have faith in God and believe in what the plan was that he had for her and her husband. that's powerful to be told that if you don't do this, like you're gonna die, and say, no, I want to, I'm going through with this. It's super powerful. And Tim was like, the best healing is the healing from Jesus Christ. And, you know, I believe that. There's lots of situations where, people are in where, you hear all these miracles and they say that they prayed and all this. And then, Pastor Randy even brought up a situation where there was a little girl locally who had a brain tumor. Um, and there was just a lot of prayers going her way. And he revealed that she was 100% cancer free. And, that received a really big applause. And after that, there was like probably 2 minute uproar, just like a standing ovation, people clapping, and it was, gave me goosebumps. So, um, what did Tim also tie that into is like, you know, there's a lot of pain out there, and, you know, that there's people who die, there's people who have abortions, and, people who have cancer, and, you know, God loves everyone equally, no matter who they are, you know. Um, a big thing that Tim does is, I've read that he goes to talk to people on death row right before they get their sentence, and will talk to them and say, "Hey, God loves you. You know, no matter the wrongdoings, he he loves you equally, just as much as he loves me, your neighbor, everybody." And that's special, to go up to somebody who's done something incredibly wrong and tell them that God loves you equally is like I said, powerful. Um, like for me, just getting into, not just getting into, but now really starting to dive headfirst into Christianity and really accept Jesus Christ in my life. Um, it's cool to see, um, for sure. A note that I put down today was like, there's pain and purpose. Anything that has purpose, there's going to be pain. And that kind of relates to my last video there, finding my purpose. Uh, having the pains and trials, tribulations in my life has led me to this point. And, thinking back to God having a plan for everybody, if you put your trust in Him, then there should be really no such thing as highs or lows. You just believe in God and what His plan is, and respect that what happens is, according to His creation for you. So, trying to remember what else. I should have wrote down some notes here, but not the best YouTuber yet. Getting there. But let's see what else. I also made some like jokes, about how Tim went to Florida. Um, Pastor Randy's a big LSU fan. He's from Louisiana, and they uh, they just kept making jokes back and forth at each other. It was funny. And Tim also went over a poem that his mom had wrote to Tim. Um, it was in regards to his birth, and he also brought up a story of um, that there were these babies that were found in dumpsters and trash bags that had been aborted. Um, and the poem, was about what Tim's life would have been if his mom would have chose to abort. And it was, I don't know, I can't recite it completely. Obviously, it was a little, that'd be insane if I could do that. But yeah, at the end of it, it was like, I'm so thankful that that wasn't my path, and that wasn't my story. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. So that's kind of, what the main takeaways I had from the service was. And I'm excited because tomorrow is my first small group um, at 6:30. So I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow, and probably post that video sometime Tuesday. Tomorrow, my video is going to be something different. It's something I'm passionate about and I want to get back into. I kind of fell off wanting to do it just with, how my mind state was the past few months. And, you know, I don't know, I just kind of stopped doing it. So it is something I'm passionate about still, though, and it's health and fitness. So tomorrow's video is going to be, kind of how I'm going to structure my week, getting back into things, going from just like how I am with going through this journey with Jesus. I'm going to be starting again my journey with health and fitness. Um, and I'll talk more about that on that video. But yeah, just basically going through workouts through the week, um, some diet things that I go and practice and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Um, if you want to catch the service that I went to for Tim, it is going to be on the Bayside Community Church website here in Lakewood Ranch. We've got multiple campuses, but the Lakewood Ranch one is the main one. So you just go to that website. You can go to can't remember what the tab was, past meetings, I think it's what it's called. And you can pretty much watch all of the Sunday services that they've had. And they also live stream them. So coming up here Sunday, if you want to, tap into our church here, Bayside, would love for you guys to do that and jump in the comments if you guys are watching, and talk to me about like what your Sunday service was about at your church, or other things like that, or if you've got a good takeaway from church that I went to. Love to hear it. So thanks for listening, guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow.